Each week, American History TV's American Artifacts visits museums and historic places. Next, we travel about 15 miles northwest of Washington, D.C., to Great Falls Tavern Visitors Center, where we'll take a boat ride to learn about the history of the Chesapeake and Ohio Canal.
I would like to introduce myself. My name is Cassandra Sohaida, and I am a seasonal park ranger here at the Chesapeake and Ohio Canal. I think we're going to cast off here shortly, but we'll go ahead and start and give you a brief history of here on the canal. All right, so it is called the Chesapeake and Ohio Canal, but it definitely doesn't reach the Chesapeake Bay or doesn't go all the way up to the Ohio River, which is our intention of the canal when we first started building it here in July 4th of 1828. We wanted to try to connect the eastern shore with what was considered the West back then. The West was up in Ohio, Pennsylvania, that area. We wanted to connect Pittsburgh to the Chesapeake Bay. In the peak of the canal, which was in the 1870s, anytime if you were waiting at a lock in a span of 30 minutes, there was about 15 to 20 boats that were waiting just at the lock. And so at the peak of its days, there was about 550 boats that were operational here on the canal. So our mules, as you can all see, they're obviously not horses, but a lot of people confuse them for horses and donkeys. They are a combination of the two, but it's a very special combination. So the male is going to be the donkey, and then the female is going to be the mare or the horse, and that is how you're going to get a mule. You need a female horse and a male donkey. If you did it the other way around, where you had a male horse and a female donkey, you would get something that's called a henny. And hennies don't have the same type of working genes that we want our mules to have here on the canal. So we decided mules would be a better fit for us here on the canal. But all throughout history, there was a lot of uses of horses. So you had like the Pony Express, they would pull wagons, and they were used throughout history for various things. So the question that always usually comes up is, why are mules used here instead of horses? And there's some various reasons for that. You can tell a few of the characteristics that the mules get from the donkey. You can obviously see their ears. Their ears make them very aware of their surrounding. Their feet also are a different shape compared to horses. They're more oval shaped compared to horses where they're more circular. And so what that does is that makes them very sure-footed, and that allows them to know where they're placing their foot at all times. So they're not very skittish like horses are. Whereas horses, at the sight of anything, they tend to rear up, and then it takes a while for them to calm back down. Whereas our mules, since they know where they're placing their feet at all times, they're not as jumpy. So back then, there would be snakes that would fall on the towpath constantly. And so with a horse, you get it reared up, and then you would have to wait for it to calm down. With a mule, it would just stop because it knows where it's placing its foot, and it sees that there's a snake there, and it would go ahead and just wait for you to move it out of the way so that it wouldn't cause any harm to itself. They're also very smart. Mules are smarter than horses are. And so with a horse, you can work a horse to death, because horses are there to please their master. They want to do nothing more than to make you happy. And so if you had a horse here on the canal, you could literally run it dead into the ground for working. Whereas mules, I'm sure you guys have all heard the saying, stubborn as a mule. Okay, you can now take that as a compliment, because they're just saying that you're smart. They're not saying that you're stubborn. So with a mule, we can't work it to death. After about 6 hours, it's going to go ahead and stop working. It's going to say, I'm not trying to hurt myself, therefore you cannot push me any further, and I'm just going to stand here until you change me out. Our mules today, it looks like our Dolly and Eva are our two mules pulling us today, and they are two of our youngest mules. Dolly is 11 and Eva is 10, and you can see that they are connected together by two chains that are in the middle of them. And then Eva on the back of her has a tree, which isn't really a tree, but it's a metal bar that connects our tow line to our boat. And they are currently pulling us at the speeding rate of about 2 miles an hour, maybe. All right, they could pull us a little bit faster, but we don't usually want to go any faster than this. And back then they actually couldn't go any faster than this because there was a speed limit of 4 miles an hour here on the canal.
You've been watching our weekly series, American Artifacts, on C-SPAN 3's American History TV. You can view this and all our other programs online at cspan.org/history.